Hello, fellow software engineers out there. Welcome to Bottom Up. This is the first time we are going on record and putting a video out there. Although we have done similar sessions for many years together, sharing our learnings in smaller groups. The people that you see in the video are Ashutosh Tripathi, Ajit Kumar Singh, and myself, Kunal Singh. We have around 11 years of experience working in various industries, small startups and also large corporates. Today we are discussing about designing a UPI based payment interface for shopkeepers and how to scale out that system. So none of us per se have a direct experience of working in a UPI based or a banking company. So from that standpoint, it's an outsider perspective. But then this gives you an insight into the various challenges, various layers of thought process, which you need to jump in, discuss through before you attempt designing such an app. So please go watch it and share your feedbacks in comments. Thank you.
Just discussing a few days back, so I want to discuss the same thing here also. So the problem statement is pretty straightforward. Like for example, we make online payments in India, right, via some apps like UPI apps. So for example, I am a shopkeeper and I am selling something very famous. I am having a huge queue in front of me. Everybody is making a QR based payment to me. QR, UPI, anyway, they are making payments to me. And lot of concurrent payments are happening to my bank account. So how does the payment engine like phonePe, UPI, paytm UPI, all these, how they are solving it, and how my bank account, that company, that application, how is the bank application handling it? These concurrent payments happening on a single account. To make things simple, I am not taking any payment as of now. Everybody is making to me. So say hundreds of people are making payments to me in a very short span of time, and like me, there are thousands of people in India who are the shopkeepers, and they are also having all this traffic.
Millions of.
So say thousands of people, then millions of transactions are happening in the system. How is bank handling it, and how is the UPI application handling such, and that too the complexity is that its whole system is transactional. So out of those 100 people, no transaction is supposed to be happening wrongly. So whatever you have to do it transactionally correct. So how will you design this system?
Do you need knowledge that how the UPI and bank work together in order to solve this problem?
So one thing is when you go and scan a QR code, the QR code has an embedded UPI ID, right? So it will give the UPI ID. Now, based on that UPI ID, you need to resolve two things. One is what is the account number of the user, and then what is the bank, right? What is the underlying bank that you need to resolve. So I think that for that they are using this India stack, and based on that they are able to arrive at these two things. So in an abstract way, very generalized way, we can say this.
Okay, so we say that whenever you're scanning it, you get sufficient information to quantify the bank account.
So you have the
information. So you have that information.
You try to design me the minimal flow where a lot of requests are coming, all are being handled by the UPI application. UPI sends you a success, although it's not a success in real time. It may take some time to reflect the amount in bank, right? And then how the UPI application handles the traffic. It sends you a success message. It debits you amount.
I don't think it sends success without the transaction being completed.
There is some lag, because notification coming to you also will take some time, right? And in that time, the bank will get update and
Why I am saying is because I have seen sometimes if I do the payment, it says that checking with your bank the payment is completed or not. So it waits for some time, and if you don't get the response within that time, then you get a message at the bottom that we will notify you back. Or if something has gone wrong, your money will be reverted back to your account if it was deducted. So from this one, if I see, what I see is definitely there are locks.
there are lots.
These are not concurrent 100% when you are updating, right? That's why you are taking this difference.
What difference?
I mean, I'm talking very abstract level here, and at the same time very deep also. That whenever you are going to update the DB, right? So I think
You are updating the
lock-
bank DB or you are updating the UPI.
you don't need to
DB.
update the UPI DB, right? From the UPI, you're just getting the bank and account number. That's it.
But UPI, hey, come on, UPI has to record some trace, right? That how many transactions you made, and what was the status of those transactions? How will you
Yes,
show to
but
the
it's
customer
not-
that come tomorrow? This
It will-
was your
it will
record.
maintain the
history.
transaction, right? But not your balance of the account.
Balance the
So
UPI.
there is
UPI
no problem.
huh.
It's like always just write it, and there is no race condition here.
But status can change, right? Of that entry.
Yeah. So whenever it's
you have to
successful,
keep the latest status of the transaction in your table, right?
yes. So if it is successful, then you get the message back, right? So there is no race condition at the UPI level,
Okay.
right? While maintaining the transactions.
For each row.
Yes, because those are like just right.
Right.
There is no race condition. In the bank account, when you are updating the balance, that is when you have the race condition.
Exactly. That is the problem.
Right.
At bank.
Yes.
How is UPI?
Ajit, just one correction there. If let's say some of the transaction fails, you have to roll it back. Then there would be revert right in the source account also.
Source in the UPI also.
So if the transaction fails, so what happens to
So okay. So general, just laying down the general structure. What will happen is you have one source account, destination account, and there is one service which is talking to both of them and then doing this, right? Now, if I call this like I said debit service, or this is the debit service, this is the credit service. So first I will debit. Let's say I have to transfer 100 rupees from source to destination. First I will debit 100 rupees from here, and then I will go and credit 100 rupees to the destination. But let's say because of some reason I'm not able to do the destination transaction credit, then I will have to go back and revert this also, right? So in this case, I'll have
So
to
that's why you see two records. I mean, I'm taking the example from the apps what they have.
Ajit, before we go into your frame of thoughts, I just want to ask Kunal. So Kunal, you gave actually made a blueprint of how the system will be designed. You named two services, debit service and credit service. Now this debit service, credit service, you are talking at the bank level or you're talking at the UPI level? You have to specify me here.
No, I'm talking end to end.
Achha.
End to end. Finally, from the user's account, I'm debiting that amount. I'm not doing any at an intermediate level or somewhere. This is a commit in that bank account. I have deducted 100 rupees. If his account has 10,000 rupees, now it will be 9,900.
Okay.
I have debited it, and then I'm calling the other one to again credit here, which is a transfer. So this is in fact this is basically I am transferring from that to let's say a buffer account or somewhere. Then from buffer I'm transferring.
Oh, so you mean debit service by the debit service of the bank of the customer who is making a payment, and by credit service you mean the bank service of the application where the customer is trying to make a payment, right? So from and to, right?
Yeah.
From and to. So from your UPI you will call this service, right? Debit service and the credit service.
Yes.
But your UPI is a single application as of now, right? In that you are not having all these.
UPI is
Different
not going to
differences
call first debit and then credit.
First debit and then credit.
No, UPI will not do that. The bank will do it internally. That's bank internal one transaction.
No, then what UPI is doing? Then if
नहीं,
UPI just
what I'm going to
see
these
it
are two
there.
different banks, right?
say
You are
mine is
transferring
Axis
from
and his is
NBFC.
In that case,
ICICI.
in that case also bank only does those things, not the UPI.
नहीं,
But
so
somebody
at
has
the
to
end
trigger
of-
it, right? Somebody has to trigger it.
at the
You will
end-
not trigger it. The UPI will trigger it.
You will just trigger that
I'll trigger the
from-
UPI
from the UPI. You will trigger that from this account.
account. Cut this rupees and
No.
send to him.
You will say that okay, from this to this,
Ah.
this much.
Ah.
This is one information goes to the bank.
First UPI.
Destination bank.
नहीं, he's saying
हाँ.
UPI received it,
हाँ.
then UPI is not
Doing
doing the
anything.
intermediary. He just sends it to the source bank, and source bank does the
Bank should be responsible for doing those things.
So you whatever you are saying same thing which we are saying. You are saying, but internally UPI server code will take that call, right? It's not the your
नहीं.
it's not your Android client that will
अच्छा,
make,
okay, let's say let's talk in terms of cash, right? Now you have to give 100 rupees to Ajit. I will say I will take 100 rupees from you. Now 100 rupees with me. So total ecosystem is right now imbalanced. Ecosystem between you and you. 100 rupees is less. And now since I have successfully taken 100 rupees, now I will give this 100 rupees to Ajit.
Okay.
So that is one way to do it, which I was saying. He is saying other way around. He is saying that I told you, since you are the source and he is the destination, I told you that you please send 100 rupees to Ajit. Then you manage it among yourself. I am not coming to the picture. I am just coming for status check. That you will successfully tell me, okay, I have successfully transferred 100 rupees to Ajit. It is done and successful. Then I can communicate to the customer.
Okay.
But I'm not taking the money from you. Or you can say that okay, no, it has failed. I'm not able to do it because the bank is not available. The user account is not available.
If you are doing that, then you are trying to solve a problem which is already solved, right? Because the bank is already solving that problem, right? Those transactions, handling the transactions. So you don't need to solve that. What the UPI does is it's just one client, right?
No, they have, it's not only Android app. They have got some
No.
backend also, right?
What
नहीं, वो तो there is a full.
definitely there
Ah.
is.
Ah.
When I say client, doesn't mean just the UI. When I say client, means
The UPI
user of the application.
user of the application.
So, I mean, for example, if you see, you can deduct amount from ATM also, right? So the destination is like cash there, right? So it's like you have different means to give your command to the bank, right? And then bank take care of it, executes it, and sends the message back. Same thing I think is going to happen in case of UPI also. That you have the whole system of the UPI that's going to maintain the logs and everything, what is the current balance, and how much is deducted, how much is like pending. Those things it will maintain at the UPI level. Okay, but the real balance and everything will be done through the bank in the bank, not in the UPI system at all.
That is for sure. The only thing we are
So it's-
debating here is that how, when millions of requests are coming to the UPI, how will the UPI scale this system and make sure that no call is being missed out?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to
how it will handle the traffic?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say here is there is no like concurrency problem in case of area of the UPI. You don't have concurrency problem in the UPI system.
Exactly.
You have the concurrency problem
in the bank level. And
Right.
bank level, you how will you solve it? How will you solve it? Because
it's like making it transactional and making the lock.
but hundreds transactions can come in a very very short span of
Yes,
time.
yes.
How will the bank react to it? How will the bank application code is being written?
Yeah. So then at a high level, what I think is that it's going to take a lock.
Row lock,
Yes.
Row
Minimal
level
lock.
lock.
Minimal sufficient lock. It's going to take.
and that too exclusive lock. Right lock.
We'll go in detail of that one later. But minimal sufficient lock it will take.
It will take.
It will make the transaction,
Mhm.
and that's all it will work.
It will send back to the UPI.
Yes.
Right. And tell me one thing.
So
When
now you will say
Mm,
what happens. Like you send it through the UPI, right?
mm,
So let's say I am sending money to you. So
mm,
my UPI recorded that
Mm.
this much amount is deducted from my account and success to your account. At the same time your UPI will record
Hmm.
that this much is received,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So what I guess is bank will notify to the destination UPI also
Hmm.
that
Yes.
this much is successful.
This is-
Either that
Hmm.
on
Deposited in
destination, or second thing is that when this is success at my UPI level, my
Hmm.
UPI will notify to your UPI account
Hmm.
this is successful, and that's what the record will be created.
Acha.
Either
Acha.
the bank does or the UPI
No,
system
so
does.
it should be UPI because you hear that speaker box is there. Na?
Right.
100 rupees reported in account at a shopkeeper's place.
Hmm.
So UPI should know that maybe at a later point of time. I mean, not very late, but I mean at the end of the transaction, UPI should be aware of it so that it can inform.
Yeah, so UPI is going to inform, I think, the other UPI account. Not
So
this
UPI
bank.
need to know because I don't think bank will tell the UPI.
Yes.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. So bank is like it's still the same system. No change on the bank because of the UPI.
So how will the
How we are
UPI?
seeing
So
this
how will the UPI know that the transaction is successful? The bank is not giving any
No,
success.
what I said is, I mean, I didn't mean that when it is initiated, bank doesn't give any information to the UPI. What I said is, to the receiver, bank doesn't say that you received. That's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is, the the initiator, the source, right, that will get a response back that okay, this transaction is done through the bank. Okay. And then, so now let's say my account, it recorded this from this UPI to this UPI, it is done. At the same time, UPI system when sees that okay, this is done, it's going to record in your account also that you received it. There, recording in your system that you received, it's not because the bank sent a notification.
Okay.
And then your account, in your account it's recorded. I'm thinking that it's UPI system which will do that. After receiving that okay, this transaction is successful,
Okay.
and then the UPI system is going to make a record in your account also that it is successful.
So
So somebody has told UPI system, right, that the transaction is
source bank.
Source. So who initiated the transaction? The UPI account who initiated the transaction. That way receives a notification from the bank that this transaction is successful.
Okay.
After that, through this account.
By successful you means cutting and
Yes.
sending both.
Correct.
One complete transaction, right?
Complete
Not
transaction.
half. cut हो गया और send हुआ ही नहीं.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why you will see sometimes, most of the time I see in the case of phonePe, that it will take 42 seconds or 1 minute or something, right? Waiting, and then after some time.
paytm also in peak traffic it takes around 60-second timer, and
Yes.
sometimes
the
another
timer is
60.
over.
Timer is
Then
over.
it says that we'll let you know.
Will let you know.
Okay. Later, if you check the transactions, it shows that it is successful.
Successful and failed also, and it
Sometimes
and,
fail
and,
also.
and it doesn't cuts also. And it fails, it doesn't cuts. They have
So there are two reasons. Either it did not deduct.
deduct.
That's why it did not get the response. So transaction literally failed.
Literally failed.
So in that case, money is not deducted. So
Not
it's not deducted. So it doesn't come there. Okay. Sometimes what happens? It took time. Money deducted. Transaction is successful, but it was not notified within time.
Not notified in time.
So after some time, if you check the logs, you will see that transaction is successful. And sometimes what happens? It is failed, and later you see it is reverted back also. So it's like plus and like minus first, and then later you will see plus record also there.
Now I want to come to your earlier part, right? Where you mentioned locking. Now you talk the UPI based on all this information. So one thing I want to clarify, I'm not sure, in my opinion, whether the UPI is playing the orchestrator between both the banks or it's just talking to one bank. I'm still not sure, but
yes, I was also not sure, but let's take one approach in this one.
Yeah.
Let's assume that okay, UPI is the one who is only the initiator of the transaction gets the notification from the bank, and then from that notification only it is notified to the receiver UPI also.
Now when we are so first transaction is a debit that all we are all agree on, and then it's a credit. Now when we make a debit from the source account, whether the log will still be hold when that credit is being done on the source account, or whether the lock on the debited account will be released.
I think in that case we need to go a little deeper that how the bank might be working. So like you said initially that in buffer. Okay, I think that is the approach taken in the banks. Like the first it is deducted from your account and then it is kept somewhere. Okay.
Acha,
And
buffer
once-
table.
Yes.
Buffer
once
table.
it is successful, then only from there and trace gone. Like, so I think once it is deducted from here and is stored in the buffer, lock should be released because it is in the buffer.
Okay. Law should be released
Yes, from the
because you already detected and this is not there. Okay.
yeah. Then what
So
happens
now
is,
this account is free to do any other thing.
yes. So for example, let's say I try to make a payment. Okay.
Hmm.
I was sending 100 rupees to Sutosh. Okay. My transaction got stuck, so my money is in buffer. At the same time, Kunal sends me 100 rupees. So that 100 rupees will be added here. Let's say my transaction failed. So from the buffer, it goes back to my account. Okay. Probably I'm going to see minus 100 to Asutosh, plus 100 from Kunal, then again plus 100 from that transaction. I'm not sure if we need to say Asutosh or not.
I think this is something like that is only happening. When the source amount is released, now the second is the transaction that you attempt on the destination account. If that is successful, it's okay. Otherwise, you go back and revert the earlier transaction. So there is no revert as such. It's a new transaction altogether, which is a compensating transaction.
Yes.
It's not because there's no way to revert it, right?
Yes. So it's like you maintain the records, sufficient logs, so that you can go back. So this is like we discussed
Fails in
how-
approach.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is we discussed like how the originally the system will work, nitty-gritty stuff. But we did not discuss like how we will scale it. Right. So we want to discuss that one or we want to conclude this.
Yeah, we'll go to that.
But one point I want to ask here that banks is very fine when you are working with this transactions in very you don't make payments so often, right, in banks, right? But some customers are having very frequent payments. So how exactly that locking is not leading to any transactions
Leading,
being missed out?
No, locking will not. Okay, you're saying that
Two same concurrent requests come at bank from UPI. For example, I may made you and me. We are both like we are both in a hurry. You have to go to catch a flight. I have to go to my office. We are both having
Both of them made the debit
payment
at the same
time to a same bank. Now how will the UPI? Now UPI roles you have limited that UPI role is just to send. It will not.
So
UPI
mainly what he has said is the problem that you are handling at a UPI level, he has reduced it to the bank level.
Bank level.
That's all. The problem still needs to be solved.
Still needs to be solved. You have just sent it to that. It's
I mean, there are problems at the UPI level also, but not the concurrency.
So now bank has to handle. Now I am more interested in that part that our locks are not affecting too many concurrent transactions on a single bank, on a single account.
I guess it is affecting. That's why you see some transactions fail.
I think that is the answer. It is of course affecting because at the end of the day, what is you have to update a single record, single account balance, right? And each of the transactions that you are taking, hopefully is taking a pessimistic lock there. And when one transaction has taken a pessimistic lock, that for sure means other transactions have no way.
Because they all have to wait.
They will wait.
So it's an exclusive lock.
If
Others will have to wait.
So I think bank can work. What I am seeing bank can do is bank can have a retry queue or a retry.
You are saying where those transactions?
Where are you? Because bank has to process them, right? UPI का तो आ गया है. UPI you all made a payment, right?
So now we can go into that detail. How the bank is going to handle it. Okay, so which one we want to target now?
First, I think concurrency is the crux here. I want to understand.
Concurrency is solved, right?
It's all.
So concurrency is not. So वहाँ पे now the thing is we have solved it if we take the database approach. Right? If we say that okay, we will lock it.
Hmm.
Database will take a lock on that row.
Row.
At that point of time, other transactions are blocked.
Hmm.
And once, so where those are blocked, right? That was your question. So those are blocked to acquire the lock, right? Because this is like a situation. Just you have to enter a critical section. Before you have to enter a critical section, you have to make sure that you have taken a log of all the resources. Then only you can enter the critical section. Say other transactions are not able to take a log on all the resources.
They are all waiting for that shared resource.
They are all waiting for the shared resource
to take a log and update the.
Yeah. In fact, the earlier transaction it still has logged that row. So these are not able to take the log. So
how will you persist all these requests within a short span of time for a one particular row?
But see, I can say that it automatically takes care. Right? I don't have to explicitly, as a developer or programmer, I have to do anything.
Okay.
Only thing is the timeouts will start happening.
That is the problem.
If I don't do also, it will wait. Right. But in my logical Java application also, it will wait.
So normally it will be one thread or request one thread, right? So your thread will be waiting.
Your thread the thread has a waiting state because ultimately this is one Java service which has made connection to a database and that has utilized one connection from a connection pool, right? The other transactions would have taken other connections because those are simultaneous and they would have also tried to connect to the database. Now at the DB layer, they are waiting for DB to relinquish and give them the lock so that they can proceed further.
So I think on that one also you might have timeouts.
Then what if those timeouts happen? Then how do you handle the situation of the payments?
That will be discussed, right? Like, if timeout happened, that means transaction failed.
Yes.
You will fail it.
Yes, transaction will fail if timeout happens. If you want to handle
If
it,
timeout happens, transaction fails. Now the point is how you configure the timeout so that you don't get too much
failure. Else the people will say this bank is not supporting the UPI.
Success rate is low.
Low.
Sometimes you see that
Your bank is facing some problems. I have seen this statement.
those are the cases where bank's DB is not scaling.
The bank's DB is having some activity. Bank DB is down or bank DB is having too much traffic. All those and number of scenarios.
And also the UPI services or even other payment gateways also say that I think at least in paytm money when I try to add money from my account, sometimes it just disables the other banks saying that too many failure rate is very high.
If you have 2-3 account added, it will stop.
So that is to just to ensure the user experience from the Paytm money itself that you are not running.
Because ultimately the people will blame the app only. Right? They will not blame the bank.
Right. So I mean, that could be the one.
The interface always takes the blame. That is the story.
Yes.
Because customer does not know. So he has not done the system analysis before making the transaction.
So I think that's how it would be.
But what if that message didn't came up in the UPI
Which message?
that your bank is facing some problems? Before that message come to the UPI that bank is under severe traffic, and for example, say a single user, I made hundreds of transactions, hundreds of QRs in a very short span of time. So how will that waiting time will not affect the transfers to that account?
So
what is your alternative to the waiting lock? That waiting time you are taking.
Okay, so
what is the alternative?
So what possible combinations are here? You initiate a transaction. Success was okay, we discussed, that's all, it's done. We're not going to discuss on success scenario now. So now let's say there is too much traffic on the bank and then your request did not complete. So that means even money from your account also did not deduct. The transaction failed, there it's a timeout. Right. UPI also is waiting for the response from the bank.
No, it's not about the UPI. It's about
I'm coming to that point.
that credit happened, and then while updating the bank, the target account, updating the target account, there is some problem.
So I mean there are different things here. So I'm talking the first combination. when money itself could not be
Very
deducted
deducted.
from
Yeah.
the source.
That
of
is
the
also
business.
thing. That is also
Okay.
thing.
So let's discuss that one first,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll come back to once it is deducted, while debiting it, crediting it in the source destination account failed. So those two cases we can discuss. So first, it is not deducted.
Not deducted.
So in that case, what will happen? Either you get a response immediately that okay, it failed, or it may be that you did not get a response from the bank at all.
No, why it failed? You have to tell me the reason. Because bank is not scaling or the UPI is not scaling.
Ajit, he's just still focused on the same problem. Let's close that before we move to
why it is failing at the bank? Why a bank can't?
He is saying, have you designed your only to handle like few transactions? Why cannot he just mentioned in the opening statement that I want to design it for 100 or 500.
Say 100.
Okay.
Why can you do 500 before allowing the transactions to time out? And also managing gracefully. So how will you speed up, scale, handle concurrency?
At the bank level.
That is the question that he does.
So I think the whole point is if you get the lock, so everyone has to wait for the lock. So now we need to configure that when you do the timeout. And how much time it takes to do that.
No, but ultimately, Ajit, you are saying, okay, those are like handling it gracefully, managing the customer experience, वगैरह, right? Those buckets में fall करते हैं. But then you are saying you will always there is always a very small kind of a threshold that I will always have one of the account, right? So for example, that is something like 500, which I can. So let's say let's fix the timeout part, and then we can back calculate how much would be the threshold, right? We say that we have the timeout is around 5 seconds. It's too small, but I'm just taking 5 seconds.
Actually, to simplify this problem, I can I introduce one feature here. Say the shopkeepers who create their accounts via enterprise accounts. These accounts will have the special feature of concurrent payment, because you and me, who will send us, right? We are normal people. If I am owning a business.
You are saying
so there are some thousands of accounts in India who you will design system.
But that is not the problem, Asutosh.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's one account.
It will add to that. Like you can do the sharding, right?
No. So the question will.
The problem will move over to a.
We have just talked about MySQL right now, so upfront no sharding possible. But
no. So what I assume is it is transactional, so you are maintaining a SQL DB. Right. So if SQL DB, then
you cannot shard. And ultimately, even if you
can shard, but you have to take all the sharding responsibility at.
That is a different thing. How to make MySQL shard?
That is a different
Ultimately,
sharding and partitioning. Right.
The partition वगैरह भी कर लोगे. Just try to understand. The problem is not to scale the CPU and memory. Problem is not to scale the CPU and memory, right?
Consistency.
So you are saying you add more servers and you will have more CPU and memory available, or you scale up the same server only, right? 32 GB का है 64.
Vertical scaling कर दो या horizontal scaling. वो scaling.
Problem is that bottleneck. That you have to update the same row only. अगर वो row को update करने के लिए you are taking let's say 500 milliseconds. और MySQL है तो 200 तो लेगा.
That's what I'm coming to, right? If
वो log जो है वो log, how will that log?
One transaction is keeping that row log for let's say 200 milliseconds, right? कितना? 50 milliseconds होगा.
And that is the bottleneck.
Discrete कर रहे हो ना? हाँ, bottleneck वही है. I want to solve for that bottleneck first before I can, because by adding machines is not going to scale. This is not a horizontally scalable problem right now.
Right.
The problem that we are at is not horizontally scalable.
No, why I was
10,000 machines will add, still you will have only one upper hand of the number transition.
No, why I was saying is that how many threads can be there then?
Those threads will not be able to do anything now, because only one thread will be able to take a lock on that row.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is the bottleneck is how much time it takes to update your record.
And release the log.
Right. Yes.
Release the log.
So if you have a very huge DB, it will take more time.
Huge DB means size of
Yes.
the table.
Yes. right? Then it could take more time.
No, why? It's just talking about one row only, na?
One row.
So
Row I already have.
I have
You
a
find
index.
out the row from the DB, right?
No, acha, nahi, I have an index.
Hmm.
From the index I went, I located that row. Right?
Okay, so
You
what I
reset
mean-
row.
okay, so
Overall, somehow you can reduce. Okay, let me give that.
okay.
Right? You can reduce it to somewhat. But now you have come to one machine,
One machine.
and you have to come through an index.
Hmm.
You have one row to update.
Hmm.
This is the bottleneck. Those things can be solved to certain extent, I agree.
Yes.
But now coming to this particular problem, how do you solve this? Can you say that I'll never be able to scale beyond some
Say 10 or
1,000 or
20.
10,000 transactions on an account? Are
Yes.
you willing to give that up? Okay.
I mean, no, there are other approaches to do that one. Like, I'm just making a guess here. No? So, maybe we can have multiple. No, that will not work. I was thinking of having multiple accounts for that, but ultimately the whole balance is like addition of all the inputs.
Hmm.
Right, so that will also not work.
Hmm.
Yeah, that will also not work in that case. So one approach could be like dividing the debit and credits. So
That will not help.
mm,
Because ultimately, debit and credit can happen from all the accounts.
yeah, no.
So you need to.
But if it is the nature of the accounts, if you see, if it is a current account,
Hmm.
I think you will have credits more.
Okay.
Yes, because people are buying stuff, so people are depositing money in your account.
Hmm.
So you are going to have credit more,
Hmm.
debit less.
Yeah.
But still, it is the same thing because even if you want to debit money, you need to know the balance. Right? Then only you can add. So it's a right operation.
Hmm.
Either you debit or credit, it's a right operation. So yes, it won't make any difference.
Okay, so I think let's agree that it can't be scaled with this critical kind of infrastructure with MySQL in place. It can't be scaled beyond a certain point.
Beyond a certain point.
So
Let's-
that number we have to tell upfront to my end customer that boss, if your account gets say n number of transactions, after that if any n plus one came, it will fail.
Now let's
But
try
until
to.
n I have to support.
Let's try to calculate how much, because this is a real world problem, right? Either somebody is facing this problem or somebody would have solved this problem, right? Or they would have used a different kind of stack. But typically we know it's the RDBMS system kind of system only, Oracle, MySQL, Postgres, ये सब use होता है.
Right.
So how do we basically, now let's try to do some benchmark.
I think we are very close to that number 100. You know how? See, we told that 100 milliseconds.
100 within what time?
So see, 100 milliseconds we'll say. So 100
Okay,
milliseconds.
you are backward
100
calculating.
into 100 to 10, so 10,000 milliseconds. So within 10 seconds. So within 10 seconds, if 100 transactions come to a account,
Within 10 seconds, 100 transactions.
will come, it will pass. And within second, 10 payments if happen, it will pass. If 100 seconds is the locking time and the updating time, means both. So 10 transactions we can support with this locking approach
Within 100 seconds.
within a single second.
Within 1 second, we can support
10 transactions.
Provided 10 milliseconds is taking to.
Provided 100 milliseconds is the entire time to update your row, to take a lock, and to release the lock.
So take a lock, update, and release. All these things. And then also because your server is sitting somewhere else, you have to make a network connection to that MySQL. And
assume they are all in the same infra.
Intranet is not
Bank applications server and banks DB is in the same zone of the network. So I think if you take 100, so
10 is the kind of an upper limit you would say. Even if there are no, it's happening in isolation, there are no other transactions happening.
Other means this shopkeeper is not making any transaction in that 1 second.
नहीं, shopkeeper तो छोड़ ही दो, वो तो block हो ही जाएगा by design. Right?
Because
I'm saying the box. This is not it's not getting in scaling bottleneck because it's doing other things.
Ha,
Because CPU might be
ha,
doing
ha,
other
ha.
things or
So those things you told, na, we are solved. You told me all those problems are pretty standard and they are being solved.
So you were saying I cannot within 1 second, maximum 10 seconds.
10 people can send me money. After 11th guy comes, I will fail.
Will not be able to.
In 1 second.
In 1 second. So I think 10 is enough. I think if you see like any shop, max right, 10 people
Within 1 second.
1 second. 1 second is it's just a flash of eye, right? I think it's fine.
It is fine.
And also at all the shops you have like queue for the billing. So you have hardly 5 to 10 counters.
This is the other thing that you can do because now you know that I cannot send more than 10
Then, so you
to
have
the database server. So let me park in the queue in the application server only. And then and then slowly send the request to
So you came from real world to the code, right? He told you that in a shop people will be in queue. So you brought that to the code level context.
I thought you were referring to that.
But it's same thing. It's happened in the same way, right?
So, I mean, what I mean to say is the scaling is not so much in the real world because of this reason. But is there any other case where this is not true? Like you might get transactions more than 10 within a second.
I think
transaction more than 10.
More than 10.
Within a second, more than 10 transactions. 10 credit to same amount.
I think IRCTC bookings can have because there's a very short window and the entire India is trying to.
I was thinking about that also, but in this case, what I was thinking is that in these cases, I think how they might handle is having more bank accounts, and then the number will be just divided by.
But how will you know at front time that I am a shopkeeper, I am having an account, and 10 people say the 11th guy came to me. How will the UPI decide कि which bank account को मुझे भेजना है? मेरे एक account है, मेरे कितने account bank है मतलब internally बना रखे हैं, right?
I'm thinking that
bank will know it.
See, UPI will not add any extra problem.
So UPI we will send it to bank. Bank will internally handle it via
because the same thing is already happening to the net banking.
Achha.
Right.
But
so
net banking, see, come on. This is what UPI has solved. Net banking, it's very hard. No one in the world can make a payment in a single second in net banking.
No.
You have to log in, you have to put password, you have to put OTP, you have to put recommend.
It's not one person doing that, right?
But concurrency.
Millions of people
doing because these are all offline things, na? Login ho gaya, net banking.
Everyone is done that thing. Right? Everyone
Now
is trying
sending.
to book a ticket.
Achha.
Okay. So everyone is ready with that stuff. Everyone click the button. So many buttons will be clicked at the same time. So you will get the request at the same time through the net banking also.
See, Ajit, now you are taking it to a different problem altogether. You know how? See, in IRCTC, everybody is making payment to a single account.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And in this system, there are many accounts where this is happening, right? So IRCTC will handle it differently than a bank.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right, Kunal?
No, ultimately, so he is saying, he is asking the bank to relinquish the control, give the control to IRCTC. He is talking about that scenario. But payment, IRCTC also takes you to a payment gateway.
That takes time. And that makes success only if the payment is a success, right?
So that is not handled by IRCTC. It's handled very differently.
Why someone will solve the problem which is already solved?
It's a financial banking domain problem. It's not IRCTC has other scaling issues too.
They should do other things, not this one.
No, but IRCTC booking algorithm is very similar to the booking is different. We will not go into this first, else we can't close this. Okay. So then why this IRCTC example came into the when
we discussed that in general, whatever shops you have, you are not going to get more than 10 transactions within a second.
See the second now. And now you take it.
Then I said, okay, is there any case where this is not true?
You said IRCTC.
You said IRCTC.
But IRCTC is a very different
Yes.
thing. It's just like talking. It's not like an actual problem that you're
No. IRCTC will be receiving more than 10
within a second.
credits within a second. How is that being solved in a real world?
No, but IRCTC is a very complex system. You are making payment, you are searching something, you are selecting a seat.
अरे
Leave
भाई,
everything out. Leave everything
So many
out.
things are there happening.
सुबह जब तत्काल booking opens, right,
हाँ.
at like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.
हाँ.
At that point of time,
Okay.
almost like lakhs of people would be sitting online
हाँ.
and they are making debit to an account.
Okay.
Now all of them are going to IRCTC's account.
But IRCTC is
So
just
definitely, hey,
a facilitator.
facilitator तो है. I think at the end of the day you are opening up payment gateway and then you are sending a money. It's going to a bank account. That's IRCTC's bank account. So there, that bank account, it has to receive more than 10. In fact, it will have to receive more than lakh.
But that
How is that being solved?
But that is my response will be same. That IRCTC's account is one, and here there are thousands of accounts. IRCTC का account एक ही है.
Guarantee कर पा रही है.
नहीं, I understand what you are saying that उस रो में भी एक डेबिट होगा, right?
प्रॉब्लम तो सेम ही है ना. हमने कहा कि रियल वर्ल्ड लिमिट है, you cannot send more than 10 in account. That's the limit we established, right, just now.
But that is a different case
No,
altogether.
it's not different. Same case.
See, IRCTC's account is one, and there are thousands of shopkeepers who are making payments.
नहीं. Ultimately, we are in a queue to make payment for one shopkeeper only, na. So we said we will be able to 10 people will be able to send.
Yes, for me.
So that is 10.
There also it's the same
See,
thing.
that is 10.
All our customer
See,
IRCTC is shopkeeper. One shopkeeper.
See, Kunal and Najib, the thing is, IRCTC's thing is different. Here, what you are trying to solve is that 10 people making a account update to a single row. Okay, IRCTC is a very different thing.
नहीं.
No, what?
There also
See,
it's same
let me say. So, receiving a transaction, what we identify.
Okay.
Can
Can you do one thing? Can we take IRCTC as a separate?
Let me
because
conclude.
this
No,
is
here
not-
we are
IRCTC
also-
को solve ही नहीं कर रहे.
Ashutosh,
हम
hear
तो
me out
banking
here.
problem को establish कर रहे
Hear
हैं.
me out.
because this is diverging away from the.
Hear me out first.
इसको relate करा हुआ है.
So, what we are trying to do here is, ultimately, what we concluded after initial discussion that receiving a transaction is the problem. Within a second, you cannot receive more than 10 transactions, 10 credits.
You can receive as many as you can, but
Not successful.
But not successful.
Successfully, you cannot receive more than 10
For a single account.
for a single account.
सबको इसको
Yes.
qualify करो नहीं.
Okay. Okay. For a single second.
हाँ.
So, for a single account, you cannot receive
More than 10.
more than 10 successful credits.
Credits.
That we concluded.
हाँ.
And then we said, okay, no problem, because this will not be the case in most of the cases. Then my next question was, is there any case where it is possible? Your answer was IRCTC is one possibility. So here, that one account where you will receive the amounts is IRCTC.
But that is a special case, right? That is
Yes, so
IRCTC.
that is also
Solve the
should be handled.
cases. So now since you know the problem, so I feel it's case of multiple accounts only.
I also feel the same.
Because you have Southern Railway, you have Northern Railway, you have Western Railway, Western Railway.
So,
IRCTC can solve because they can't have
IRCTC is not going to solve that problem.
bank has to solve.
Bank. So when you want to create a website like IRCTC and we have this problem, bank will say create so many bank
Number of
accounts.
Number of accounts.
10 multiplied by that much.
Yes, and
God,
then
bunch of
that's
people
how
you have to calculate.
the volume will be divided by the number of accounts.
But you are trying to bring that solution to our solution of having for any shopkeeper who is very very right heavy. So for that right heavy shopkeeper, you want to
That is also a
create.
shopkeeper only, right? IRCTC is the
But it's a very
shopkeeper.
big shopkeeper. It's not.
Yes,
not
it is. But
then it's
still
Flipkart
not
also.
at the same
Flipkart
time.
Amazon also, right? You make payment through I buy something via Flipkart, Amazon, and I pay via the
Flash share.
Amazon Pay, right?
Yeah.
Then it's the same problem.
It's a bank problem.
Bank problem.
So everybody is having this problem. And
Yeah, okay, so it's not only IRCTC. We have like
Amazon Pay
Flash
also.
sales.
Signal,
right?
right?
So in those cases we have
Thousands of
these cases.
like I am also an Amazon Pay customer, and so many Amazon Pay guys will pay by Amazon Pay in a flash sale, and that they also means have to solve it.
Achha, so this was all case of when you want to use a relational database only to solve it. If it's a non-relational database and we have already divided the transaction into debit being a different transaction, credit being a different transaction, we can solve it through any other database also, which does not support overall as the same transaction, right? Because anyway we are not doing it through a 2PC, right? We are doing it. These are all application level transactions. They're not exactly DB level transactions. Right?
Yes.
Overall, I'm saying individuals are each of the individual transactions are DB transactions, but overall these are application level independent transactions. So our transaction consisted of two application level transactions.
Yeah, I understood that.
But
it's not really atomic, even
before
if
we
it
go
is.
there.
Atomicity. So atomicity, see, it was overall each of our transactions were not.
The one full transaction is not atomic at
the
the DB level.
At DB level, it's not atomic.
Yes.
It's atomic at a overall level.
Overall transaction level, it is atomic.
It's
But
atomic.
at the DB level, it's not atomic because debit is happening in a separate DB somewhere. Credit is happening in a separate DB somewhere. So that's why they are the buffer.
And
to solve this problem.
see,
So there are now two offshoots from it. One is instead of relational, which is putting a bottleneck of 10 transactions in 1 second, can we use a non-relational? Because anyway, these transactions were not, overall it's not a DB level transaction.
But still, there also, what you're going to do is, you're going to read. Right? And then, there also you need the lock.
You need lock support, na? You need databases to support locking, for sure. Okay.
Yes.
I think most of the NoSQL also supports lock.
So you will need the lock. So now the
one
only point is that what is the performance of the DB? Right, it can work with the lock. What is the minimum time it's taking? That is the bottleneck in all the systems. So it might differ from DB to DB, but that is the bottleneck. And second thing is like if you can reduce the size of the DB, is it going to help or not? I think it should help.
Reduce the size of the DB. Overall level scaling at this helps.
Yes. So I mean, then you don't need the lock for too long. Maybe you need for lesser time because your DB is performing, because it is very less in size. So their partitioning and sharing those things method.
So you are saying if we have locking support from the database and other things on the scaling, we can very well use a non-relational database also to support the payment system.
Yes, I mean, first thing is
no, Ajit.
First thing
payment system has to
I
be
just want to ask this question.
First thing
Why people always use the relational database only?
Because
whenever payment they will say use this, right?
No, it's not like that. They're telling it like from their fear. It's not fear. It's a asset compliance thing.
But why? I mean, there should be a technical reason, right? Engineering reason.
Engineering reason is that your non-relational, if your non-relational database supports asset, because what I have read is that they support BASE, right? BASE. There is some acronym. We have to go in deep for that. But I think non-relational, if they provide the assets support, then I think you should be able to use non-relational also.
So asset, right? So let's see that, right? Now, okay. Should we break down the asset thing and
we'll see that where is the payment thing?
Where is the problem, right? Why if we can support something like asset similar to asset, can we use some other non-relational DB?
I think that we can
and is
another round of discussion.
And or whether no other DBs won't support that. That also we can look at.
This can be an extension to our this thing. We can take it to the upcoming brainstorming.
Okay.
This is fine. What you were taking, go into a non-relational. That is secondary. Before we should close down another problem. How is phonePe and paytm UPI such successful UPIs? How they have solved scaling problem? That also we should discuss before we close down this problem. Because we have solved it for the low level, right? We have like how it is happening. But we should also solve it for the scaling problem, what Paytm UPI and phonePe has solved. in real time.
Yeah. So
That they can support millions of customers at every instance of time.
So basically, if you see what they are doing, so it's like taking a request, send it to the bank, wait for the response, update the status. That's what you have. Now you just need to explore it.
And so, which part you are asking?
So
on, right?
I am more interested in solving that part where I am getting thousands and means not thousands, millions of requests on the UPI front, and UPI is making those triggers to the banks. So how does those millions of requests are being handled? That single flow you solve it, it's fine because that is the crux. I'm not asking you to solve me the check balance problem of the UPI or change pin problem of the UPI. Those are very straight problems. This is a scaling problem. Billions of people hit the payment engine, the UPI. UPI process all those requests on every day of the year, Diwali sale, any heavy traffic day, and it it broadcasts to all the banks, and all the banks work seamlessly in tandem with the UPI, and all the India is happy.
So
how do you solve
at
traffic?
This level, right? phonePe or paytm level. Now, all of these are. Is it stateless, right? First question I will ask. If it is stateless, I can horizontally scale it just by adding more servers. If it is stateful, then it will be a problem which will have to. So, but let's first establish whether it's a stateless or stateful. So, what I'm doing is one is of course authenticating, because when I'm sending money to some QR code, I have to authenticate it.
Yes,
Now that authentication, I am providing a PIN there, right? UPI PIN,
Yes.
and that is, I think, bank will validate, right? Bank will have to validate that, right? The source bank will, because from there the debit is happening,
Right.
so it will have to validate it. So that I have to make a connection to the bank. It all should be one session where all these things happen. Where I make a call, then bank says yes, authenticated or incorrect PIN, or some problem, right? So that is one aspect of it. Second aspect is
that PIN is a success. Now you have to make the payment.
Now I have to make the payment. Now for making the payment, I am calling one of the services
of any bank, that is source bank and then that target bank.
I'm talking from a user backend. From the user backend, I'm calling one of my services which has integration with the banks. Now it will talk to banks. So now this part is, I believe it is stateless. Let's say I don't have anything on that machine. There is no caching I'm doing on that machine particularly. So it is stateless. So I can send it to this server or that server. It does not matter. So I'll just have to have enough servers on the application tier level so that it can handle this. Let's say I will just do some kind of performance test to understand how many requests one of my servers can take. Let's say it can take 1 million requests, right? Or 10 lakh requests. Or something like that. Then I just need whatever scale, I just need to duplicate those.
I want to ask you one thing. So India has got so many states and so many union territories, right? So I'm making your case simple. I'm making solving it for India. Okay. Now, how will you have your apps servers based on the region-wise app servers you will have? Means what logic you will use to redirect the users to different apps? See, your Paytm is having stupendous. Your UPI app is having huge traffic, right? So how will you handle that traffic via this app server horizontal scale?
So that's what I said. I don't need to bother. He is coming from which region of India, I don't care.
Okay.
If those are stateless.
For example, I want you to turn down your app in some state. Now, how will you do?
Okay. Then this is a different level of problem.
It can happen, right?
Now this is basically a user backend level problem, right? my service should not
Government
work.
of India is telling me you shut down your app in 1 month.
So this is again a user backend level problem, where one is the visibility part or the available. So basically, when I'm at that location and I open the app should tell me it won't work in this location, right? So I have to track the users. I think this is very different. I think orthogonal direction we have taken. It's a very different problem.
So it's not related to payments.
No. This is just so you can say how will Ola block itself or how will Flipkart block itself in certain state, right? Where it's not available. Or how does China blocks us, right? All the other apps. So this is that kind of problem. This is very different problem. This can be done through one is IP level blocking, and IP you can get from the. There are ways to get from geolocation. You can get IPs from the service provider ISP. You can get IPs. Based on that, you can block this.
So your apps servers are like item potent of your user's location, right? That come from wherever you are calling your.
No, you can. I think that's a very important point. You can use user location as well. I think that's more reliable data in that sense. Yeah. IP can be. I can put some kind of proxy.
Reverse proxy.
So user location I can take and I can use that as well. All these things are mix of all these things I have to use.
Okay. And you will have multiple app servers, right? And you will diverge the traffic, and you will make a call to the end servers.
Yeah, because that is like different problem from.
Achha, what if your one of the app server overshoots the request can
No, it will never overshoot.
Well,
See, I mean, if you are deploying on the cloud,
you have seen, right? Diwali evening, entire India makes
Overshoot of can overshoot.
I mean,
how will
you are
your
on the server right to overshoot. If you go to the load balancer, then that will still.
load balancer is
No,
also
but
under
ultimately you have
extreme load.
n number of servers, limited number of servers. So now let's say you are saying it's a round robin. So I will keep sending to different servers, but still
Still, if it is failing,
highest traffic.
Then 503.
It will start coming 503 from any of the servers. So you have to and anyways even in normal scenarios you still get some kind of 503. You have to just put some kind of cap on that and then alerting, right? So basically what we do is we say that okay, if it shoots beyond 3% for 1 minute duration, let's say, then these people will start getting SMSs or alerts.
Yes, and
SMS
also
emails
there are
and alerts.
provisions that if you are using Kubernetes, okay, I'll take example of AKS, Azure Kubernetes Services. So in that case, you can spin up the new containers, okay. So it's like there is no manual intervention needed. If the CPU uses of this guy or this many requests are coming, then it will spin up one more app server for you. So that will be automatically handled. And whenever the peak is going down, then it will just relinquish that.
So you have to monitor it and then you have to add more servers. Or auto spin you can add.
Auto scale or auto.
Which can automatically
What
add.
if some bank is down? Then how will your system come to know that bank is facing some issues?
So you have to oversee those transactions that you were doing in that bank.
So you have to
Then
apply
you
some
have to-
analytics.
You have to oversee it real time. This is real time.
Real-time analytics, right?
Yes.
And then based on
And
maybe
that's how
you
you will
say,
say that okay,
my 100 transactions
through this
concurrently
bank,
fail, right? For
suppose
In this span of time, right?
1 minute of time, I'll just mark that bank has failed for 5 minutes, something like that, and then we'll again retry. So it's a circuit breaking only.
So most of the cases what happens is a user might, most of the users have account in different banks, right? So user will have option to pay from either this bank or that bank. Right? So if you can give to the user that okay, this is the rating of your bank success rate currently with the transactions, user can take an informed decision from which bank account, from which bank to make the transaction. So that way user can be helped, but yes, by using the real-time analytics.
I think we have pretty much summed it up.
So I think this part is done.
Yes. My scaling is normal scaling.
Normal
Like,
scaling and
just spin up more and more. The real problem in the concurrency and the bottleneck was at the bank end, where you have to read that and have to have a lock there.
And people are
So that is the
getting into
bottleneck you have. Yes, that is the bottleneck you have to control.
cool. Then I think this problem also we have brainstormed.